that in there.
So that's the pickup
Yeah.
balance? Okay.
Yeah. And as long as that should be back.
Kind of a bit more Jocko, not today.
Was he one of your favorites growing up?
Yeah, because it was so different from anything I had heard before. You know, I like the rock bass players at first, like Geddy Lee and John Paul Jones, John Entwistle, and then Jocko. I found out about him through a teacher that I was taking lessons from, and then more of the, you know, the R&B, the funky guys like Marcus and.
Yeah, see, I didn't find out about them till much later.
Really?
That was
I went backwards.
Yeah.
what happened to me.
I started, my cousins gave me 4 albums. They gave me Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Wow.
They gave me Led Zeppelin. They gave me Frank Zappa. And then they gave me this guy with this scarf on named Stanley Clark.
Okay.
His bass up to here. The album was called Lopsy Lou. My cousins told me to learn those 4 albums. Learn everything on them backwards and forwards. You'll be a good bass player. So
How did you learn from the album? Like just pulling the needle back?
pulling the needle back,
Yeah.
going from 78 to 33, 78 to 33. So I would slow it down, play it wrong, speed it back up, and
transpose
I had
it to the
do
right.
that. Now I did that so long that it was like, but then it just became a habit. So
Yeah.
now every song that I listen to, and then some of the harder ones was when I had an 8-track. The song would play up to a certain point, then you had to hit the switch to play the song on the other side for this song to go back to try to play that song.
I never understood those things.
I never understood. But think about it. Back then, that was the number one thing you could do, having an 8-track.
Okay, so did you ever learn Team Time?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Did you telling our age? I didn't never change the slow that speed it up.
Speed it up and slow it down.
I just put it on that do 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 do.
Well, by that time, because I didn't listen to Jocko until when I started. When all the stuff that I mentioned was from '72 and '73, around in that time. So Jocko was
out there early.
yeah.
I never heard of Stanley Clark, the 76, Return to Forever.
Yeah.
Someone's phone is ringing.
Somebody's calling you.
No, that was just a notification.
Okay.
Well, I need to check that. Could be somebody coming in.
Yeah, could be somebody here.
But the Return to Forever, I heard the Return to Forever and Weather Report album the same day, and it was like changing religions from going from Christian to Muslim.
Yeah,
I mean, just an example. Those 2 on the bass made me
What happened to me, there were a bunch of guys in the neighborhood that were guitar players. And they were all into Hendrix and Cream and Clapton. So I grew up on that stuff. Allman Brothers, I loved.
Yep, yeah.
Early Allman Brothers and
Played
stuff like
Allman
that.
Brothers
Barry Oakley
tribute
and
band.
Jack. I wanted to sound like Jack Bruce. My first bass was an EV3. It sounded like crap, by the way. And anyway, so I started getting to Chicago. Terry Cass, I loved Chicago, his guitar players. And I loved, Peter Stereo's bass player, all Chicago skill. Anyway, so I'm listening to Chicago, and there wasn't much music journalism around then, but there was some music magazine I picked up in an interview with Bobby Lamb, and Bobby Lamb said he liked Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
And this was like 74 or 75. And I wasn't really listening to jazz. I mean, I knew who Miles Davis was, but I couldn't quote a Miles Davis tune or anything. And so I said, what the heck? So Austin City Limits, I think they had this thing called Soundstage back then.
Yeah, sure did.
And Herbie Hancock and Headhunters were on. So I flipped it on, and the opening act was a band I'd never heard of before called Return to Forever.
They opened
with
up
Stanley.
Wow.
On that show. And I watched that show, and I watched Stanley playing bass. And I'm telling you, the guys I liked before, I tell you who I loved before was Chris Squire.
Yeah.
And the guys who I loved before, it's like, yeah, they were great bass players, but Stanley was like, it was a whole different level, a whole different world.
A whole different
and I heard that,
process.
and then I just started diving into the fusion stuff. And And I'm still listening to Steely Dan a lot. I loved Earth, Wind and Fire. Bernie White still probably influences the way I approach a song more than just about anyone. But he is Cetera, which are actually very similar guys, different sound. Different sound on their bass. Cetera played flat wounds with a...
Hey, come on into the back door and come on in, brother.
Yeah. Doors unlocked.
Now, did you ever hear, you heard Return to Forever?
I saw them in '82.
Oh, really?
It was almost like a...
Well, now, was Lenny White still playing drums?
Yeah, all the same guys. Al Di Meola, Lenny
Okay.
White, Chick Corea, and Stanley Clark. And even then, it was kind of like a bit of a reunion tour. They weren't
Here, why don't you check this one out,
but
Eli?
they were phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, did you ever get a chance to listen to Lenny White's album? He had an album called Astro Pirate.
I haven't.
Okay, find that.
Okay.
That's some of the best bass playing that I've ever heard, man. It was like day and night.
Who was it?
I don't recall the bass player. He was somebody to just play with him, and they gave him more bass solos, and he was doing stuff, and I'm going, man, how are you doing?
What's this stuff? By the way.
Because
That is
the album
a
was
gig
called,
bag for a guitar.
Astro Pirate.
Oh, okay.
And
Do you play
good
guitar?
album.
Guitar?
Good
Do you play
album.
guitar?
So never got the name of it.
No,
I don't need a gig
I
bag.
know now.
I've
but I don't
got a
recall
case for my Martin. I wouldn't put my Martin
He
in a gig
wasn't
bag.
somebody
And,
that was memorable
Oh, okay.
to me by name.
That's
but
okay.
just I know when I hear him. And then he didn't really play with anybody else after they stopped that. After they did that album.
What's taking
I
him
heard
so
him play
long?
with a whole lot of other
You ever
people.
have a bass
If you
player called
hear.
Gary King? He was
Do you
kind
hear somebody out there?
of...
I don't know, I'll check.
Play with
I put a big sign on the door saying doors
on
unlocked.
one album. And then I
Back
recently
door.
saw a video of him, a live thing, but he died a long time ago.
Gary King.
Gary King.
Who did he play with? Anybody?
I think Tom Scott, or he played with one of the kind of funky guys from the 70s.
Oh, that reminds me. Guess who called me and said they're gonna be here too?
Who?
You heard them on the phone.
Who was that?
You ever heard of a guy named Freddie Guy?
Freddie Guy.
You know, ever heard of him?
I don't know. I remember Freddie Guy.
Our first exposure to Freddie Guy was Float On.
He was the bass player for the Floaters.
Yeah, Float On, and he did a whole bunch of other work. He gonna be here today.
Wow, that was the guy that said he's gonna get here about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm not interviewing him today, but
Okay.
when you know how they pop up, we be filming. So anyway,